And next year, Alabama will vote on a new Attorney General. The current AG, Steve Marshall, is serving his second and final term in that office. And the first Republican candidate to declare a run for this office would make history if elected. Joining us this morning is Blount County District Attorney Pamela Casey, who, if elected, would be the first woman to hold this office. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You've been District Attorney for Blount County 15 years. You have experience that exceeds that. How has this prepared you to run for this office?
Well, the Alabama Attorney General is the top law enforcement official in the state, and I have for the last 15 years been the top law enforcement official in Blount County. Just this morning, I took a call at 5 a.m. of an overdose. Last 2 days ago, I was on the phone with an individual who'd been shot and killed, or with law enforcement for an individual who been shot and killed. For the last 15 years, 18 years actually, when I was in AG's office, I was on the front lines. I've been in the courtroom. I've been fighting alongside law enforcement to keep our families safe. I've stood beside victims, young children, as they've walked into the courtroom, held their hand as they've talked about some of the roughest days of their life. I think all of this experience is what Alabama wants for their top prosecutor and their top law enforcement officer.
You grew up in Blount County, in that area where you now are full-time. You live there and you prosecute the worst of the worst, especially when it comes to sex offenders. You've been very outspoken about child predators and safety of children online. How do you apply that to the AG's office? What are your goals should you be nominated for this office?
It's wonderful. It would give me the opportunity to work with the Alabama legislature, to work with national officials and talk about what we need. I'm starting to see 10 years ago, I was talking about we need to do these things to protect kids, to make sure that we are guarding their hearts, their minds, and now we have some 10 years later starting to see the laws that we need to pass starting to come forward. And so we would work with local law enforcement, or with the legislature, to make sure that we're passing laws that protect kids from social media situations, and to make sure that the sex offenders are getting the strongest punishment that they can get.
What are laws that you said you think about that maybe we are lacking in this state that you would like to see? Are there some examples of that?
Would like to see some more of the social media use by children in terms of we are not doing a lot to protect bullying, children who are being bullied online with social media. We saw just this past year a young child take their life over that. So what I think that we can do is we can move forward with stronger laws when that's happening, because it's one of those things, if you know you may potentially be punished for it and parents can talk to kids about that, then we have the ability to stop that before it gets to the point that we saw children taking their lives. You saw Texas pass those laws several years ago when a young man took his life, and I would love to see something like that here in Alabama.
I've asked you what keeps you up at night when it comes to being the DA in Blount County. What about on the state level? What is going through your mind, aside from child predators and online safety and that, on the state level?
Crime. Birmingham has one of the highest levels of homicides. And if you look across the states and the different large cities, we see large crime is at some of our highest rates. But not just that, we see a lot of illegal immigrants who are committing crimes against our citizens. And so those are the things that we would work through at the AG's office to make immigration laws stronger, support federal law enforcement as they attack that. And as a mom, I want to make sure that when I go to bed at night, my children are safe, my family is safe, and not just for my family, but for the state of Alabama.
Pamela Casey, District Attorney in Blount County, seeking the Attorney General's office. Appreciate you being here this morning.